Junior Edwards has died. The news, quietly devastating, broke across social media on July 26th, catching fans of the History Channel's Swamp People off guard and hitting them like a sudden gust across the bayou waters, unforgiving and real. He was a man of the swamp, a symbol of endurance, grit, and deep Southern heritage. His death has left a void, not only in his family and community, but also in the hearts of millions who came to admire him through the TV screen. The outpouring of grief was immediate and widespread. His co-stars, family, and fans alike rushed to honor the memory of the legendary alligator hunter with heartfelt words, raw emotion, and timeless memories that refused to fade even in sorrow's wake. Swamp People's own Ashley Deadeye Jones was among the first to speak out, using her platform to share what many were feeling but couldn't quite put into words. On Instagram, she posted a selfie with Junior captured after a long, hard day of gator hunting at Duffy's gas station in Pierre Part, Louisiana. The photo, perhaps unremarkable at first glance, took on new weight in the context of his passing. Two tired faces, weather-worn and honest, frozen in a single second of camaraderie and mutual respect. The world lost a legend, she wrote, her message ringing with both admiration and heartbreak. Mr. Junior Edwards passed away. Please be in prayer for the family. He was one of the greatest alligator hunters there is. There was nothing hollow or rehearsed in her voice, just the truth, spoken by someone who knew what it meant to endure the elements alongside a man as seasoned and uncompromising as Junior. Her tribute continued, calling him a real hardcore outdoorsman, someone who commanded respect without asking for it, simply because of the way he lived his life. I watched this man bring in monster gators, she added, still marveling at his skill, his precision, and his seemingly tireless dedication to a way of life many wouldn't dare attempt. Meanwhile, the pain was more personal and deeply rooted on the part of Junior's grandson, little Willie Edwards. His Facebook tribute was tender, filled with the kind of unpolished sincerity that only comes from love. Rest easy, Papa, he wrote, as if speaking directly to the spirit of the man who once showed him how to set a line or handle a rifle. I know you're probably running your hoop nets or doing something crazy inside those pearly gates. You will be extremely missed, Papa. We love you more than anything. Until we meet again, there was no mention of a funeral, no cause of death provided. Just raw, familial sorrow, the kind that lingers in silence and sudden tears. As news of Junior's death spread, the comments poured in, not just from those who had hunted with him or shared a meal with him on the edge of the swamp, but from people who had never met him at all. They had only known him through the lens of reality TV, but still, they felt the loss like it was their own. I'm so sorry for your heartbreaking loss, one longtime viewer wrote. Junior Edwards was a hell of a man. Not just an amazing alligator hunter and trapper, but a family man who took care of his family and provided for them. That was the legacy Junior left behind. He wasn't just a man with a rifle and a boat. He was a protector, a teacher, a stubborn but kind-hearted soul who understood the value of tradition, of work, and of family. And there were stories. So many stories, each one forming the mosaic of a life that stretched far beyond the swamp. Fans remembered specific episodes with haunting clarity. One user recalled the time Junior accidentally shot at his own son, Willie, a moment of fear and panic, followed by relief and the kind of tough love only someone like Junior could express. I'll never forget the episode where he accidentally shot Willie, they wrote. Or the episode where they released the otter they nursed back to health and released. Yes, I cried too. It was that episode in particular that came up again and again. It seemed to summarize everything people loved about him. Behind the tough exterior, there was warmth, empathy, and an old-school morality that didn't need to be shouted to be understood. Junior Edwards wasn't just a television personality. He was a living, breathing emblem of a culture that's vanishing from mainstream memory, an ambassador of the swamp whose knowledge of gators, fish, traps, and tides came from lived experience, not textbooks. He came from a generation that lived by the rhythm of the land and water, A generation that respected the cycles of nature, honored the wisdom of elders, and didn't rely on modern conveniences to get through the day. His hands were calloused not from lifting weights but from years of gripping ropes, cleaning catches, steering boats, and skinning hides. His voice was rough, but when he spoke, people listened not because he was famous, but because he was right more often than not. Though he eventually stepped away from the show, his impact on Swamp People is eternal. Junior was one of the original faces of the show, and many fans consider the early seasons with Junior, Willie, and the rest of the Edwards crew the golden era. Watching Junior work was like witnessing a master craftsman practice an ancient art. He didn't hunt gators for the thrill or the fame. He did it because it was what he knew, what he was. There was something spiritual in his methods, the patience, the technique, the respect for the animal. He never rushed, never showed off. He moved through the marshes with quiet confidence, as if he belonged to the land just as much as the cypress trees or the snakes that slithered beneath them. His relationship with his son Willie was another powerful element of his legacy. It wasn't always smooth. Fans remember the friction between the two. Junior's strict approach clashing with Willie's youthful impulsiveness. But beneath the gruff commands and stern lectures was an undeniable love. It was the kind of father-son bond that doesn't need hugs or long conversations to be understood. It was in the way Junior handed him the reins, taught him how to read water signs, and trusted him when the stakes were life or death. Willie would one day become a skilled hunter in his own right, but he never stopped calling Junior Papa. That name's simple, intimate, speaks volumes about who Junior really was. When the cameras stopped rolling, over the years, Junior became something of a folk hero. Not the kind who wore a cape or fought crime, but one who represented something. Enduring and honest, he was a protector of a fading way of life, a symbol of the South that exists outside the headlines, away from politics and pretense. He embodied a life shaped by early mornings, muddy boots, hot coffee in dented mugs, and stories passed around fire pits. People respected him because he never tried to be anyone but himself. Fans began revisiting old episodes in the hours after his death was announced. Some cried, others smiled through tears. They remembered his signature camo, the way he stood at the bow of the boat with a steady hand and an unflinching eye. They remembered the grunts of frustration when a line snapped, or the quick grin that broke through when he landed a gator bigger than expected. But mostly, they remembered the way he made them feel safe, entertained, inspired, and connected to a world most would never experience firsthand. And what of the swamp itself? Those winding, waterlogged bayous that echoed with the hum of insects, and the deep bellow of bullfrogs. Do they mourn, too? Does the water remember the hands that once skimmed across its surface with purpose? Does the wind slow for a moment in honor of the man who once moved through it like a shadow at dawn? Perhaps. Nature has a way of knowing when one of its own is gone. And Junior, without question, was one of its own.